What's going on, my peoples? You are now tuned in to the thought of TRANE, and you're taking another trip down memory lane with me, fourth quarter TRANE. Now today's stop is going to land us at Natural Born Killaz, released December 18th, 1994, and produced by Dr. Dre. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. The enigmatic aura that surrounds this song, along with everything that was supposed to follow after it, it's just way too much for me to not finally get out of my system. As a hardcore, geeked out superfan of hip-hop that I am, I had sensed this collaboration coming for at least a year prior to its creation. Ever since Cube had left NWA, I had been fiending for any small trace of a reunion that I could find. The release and impact of possibly the greatest diss track of all time, Ice Cube's No Vaseline, made that reunion unlikely as hell. But one day, while I was watching MTV, Dr. Dre's Let Me Ride video had premiered, and finally, a glimmer of hope had arrived. When out of the blue, Cube walked out of the bathroom with a pick in his afro and a chick on his arm, while saying, "Damn right it was a good day." I had knew right then and there that two of my all-time favorite artists had made up, and some classic collabs were waiting in the wing. A few months later, they gave us another breadcrumb and teaser to further confirm my prediction. Doggy Style had dropped that same year, and way in the back of the CD's liner note sleeve, there was a small list of upcoming album releases on Death Row Records. The classic, yet highly underrated Dog Food from the Dog Pound, Eargasm by the Lady of Rage, another album that was supposed to be produced by Dre but never created or released. And last, but certainly not least, Helter Skelter, which was to be performed by none other than Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. Hot diggity fucking damn, let's go. The magical moment is officially on its way, and it's what I've been waiting on since Cube's cameo appearance in the Let Me Ride video. To add further confirmation, that same month in November of 1993, during an MTV Jams interview hosted by Bill Bellamy, Dre and Cube stated that they had only created one joint for the album so far, a song titled You Don't Want to See Me, which probably sounds familiar because that track ended up being used on Tupac's All Eyes on Me album and renamed as You Can't See Me. The next month after, when he was asked again about Helter Skelter, Dre was quoted as saying, "We're getting ready to start on our album. Matter of fact, Cube's supposed to come over here later this evening. The plan is he's going to do some solo cuts on the album. I'm going to do 2 solo cuts on the album. The rest we're going to do together. We're going to put 10, maybe 11 songs on there, and yeah, you know what's going to happen." Hell yeah, I know what's about to happen. And with Snoop chiming in to say that he was going to make sure he put his 2 cents in. Forget just hip-hop. One of the greatest pieces of work in musical history was about to be created. That's what was about to happen. And I already had my school lunch and grass cut money stashed away to the side for it. Moving up a bit to October 1994. It's been almost a year now since we've all been foaming at the mouth for just a hint, a snippet, a fraction, or just a smidgen of anything resembling the promise that Dre and Cube made to us regarding the Helter Skelter project. The Murder Was the Case soundtrack was about to drop. Me, myself, I ain't care who or what was going to be on there. You see, Death Row had already, in a short amount of time, built up a proven track record of releasing top-tier material. So off that strength alone, I had already freed up my busy 15-year-old teenage boy schedule to be at Sam Goody on the first day of release. On October the 18th, 1994, the soundtrack was released. I copped it and headed right back to the bus stop. Now, I was always that dude that before I listened to anything, I would rip the plastic off just to read the credits. It was just a must that I knew who produced what, who wrote what, and which samples were used. But before I got a chance to do any of that, I had damn near broke into fucking convulsions. I'm reading the back of the case. I see, of course, the first track is the remix for Murder Was the Case, which was the lead single in the video for the soundtrack. Then I see the second track that reads, Natural Born Killaz. By who? By who, you say? Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. Man, I almost broke that CD in half trying to jam it inside of my Discman. On an album that featured main event artists such as Snoop, Nate Dogg, rest in peace to the great Nate Dogg, the Dog Pound, Jewel, rest in peace to the late great Jewel as well, DJ Quick, and Jodeci. But after naming all them names, truthfully, I didn't realize any of them were on the album at all until about a week later, when I finally had took a break from listening to the absolute monster of a track, which was Natural Born Killaz. Speaking of the track itself, you see, for those who don't know, the original version of the Natural Born Killaz beat belonged to Sam Snead, which is why he was listed as co-producer in the credits. The song was titled The Heist, and it featured an artist who went by the name of J Flex, who ghost wrote Dre verses on Natural Born Killaz, and he also ghost wrote other big joints for Dre, such as Been There, Done That, his verse on California Love, and Keep Their Heads Ringing. Keep Their Heads Ringing, which is a song, in my personal opinion, that hasn't aged well at all. I loved it when it first dropped on the Friday soundtrack. I cringe at it now because of how cheesy it sounds. But that's another convo for another episode. Sorry about that, Dre. Now, speaking of the heist, I know some of you Dr. Dre haters is going to say, see, look at this shit. Another song that Dre stole. He stayed committing heist. Much respect to the highly slept-on contributions that Sam Snead made to the legacy of Death Row Records. But the night and day difference of what started as the heist and ended up as Natural Born Killaz is a perfect illustration of the difference in between what a beat maker is and what a producer is. With the permission and blessings of Sam Snead, Dre took that track, restructured it, and Priest Superfly Brooks replayed the keys on it. And the outcome became one of the most aggressive, horrific, anxiety-invoking, sonically game-changing productions of Dr. Dre's career. A little side note before I move on. You see, I mentioned Priest Superfly Brooks. And just in case you don't know who the hell I'm talking about, he was another secret weapon on numerous Death Row productions. And if you need any further confirmation, just think Ambitions as a rider. Yes, of course that nigga Daz Dillinger applied that slapping ass beat on it. But those legendary, undeniable keys that you immediately heard in your head the second I mentioned ambitions as a rider, well, they emerged from the fingertips of none other than Superfly. So when I first heard it, Natural Born Killaz, it sounded so fucking sick to me that it instantly became my favorite song at that time. Of course, the production was otherworldly as usual, whenever Dre's involved. But it was the lyrical performance on top of that for me that grabbed my full undivided attention. As a fan, there's been too many occasions where we witness our favorite groups break up. Shortly after, you'll hear rumors or promises of them linking back up to create music together again. A few more years pass by, and they finally release a song or an entire project together. But by the time they decided to do it, they're just a year or two past their prime. No doubt, they put a solid body of work together, but it ultimately ends up hitting below the standard that we all knew they would have reached had they made music together back when they first intended to. That particular scenario most definitely wasn't the case here. Dre came out the gate on this one sharp as hell, ferocious with the tone, and beastly with the bars. He delivered here easily one of the best vocal performances of his career. Journey with me into the mind of a maniac, doomed to be a killer since I came out the nutsack. I'm in a murderous mind state with a heart full of terror. I see the devil in the mirror. Buck, lights out. Cause when I grab my sword off, niggas get hauled off. Sheesh. That boy Dre came out the gate guns blazing. Literally. I mean, I know the name of the song is called Natural Born Killaz. But that don't mean you gotta kill them all at once, Dre. So he definitely sounded revigorated, motivated, and hungry as hell. But you know, rhyming next to your old partner again, who y'all helped build a game-changing group and legacy together with, well, that can have that type of effect on the dude. Speaking of old partner, peep the subtle shout out he slid to Cube. When I grab my sword off, niggas get hauled off line. A callback to one of the most legendary opening verses in history, when Ice Cube famously spit on Straight Outta Compton. That when I'm called off, I got a sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and bodies are hauled off. Fast forward back to the theme of the song, where you'll fully notice that the script was stuck to with dead-on precision as Dre continued to cut heads. Decapitation, I ain't hesitating to put you in a funeral home with a bullet in your dome. I'm hot like lava. You got a problem? I got a problem solver, and his name is Revolver. It's like a deadly game of freeze tag. I touch you with the 44 mag and you're frozen inside a body bag. Nobody iller than this graveyard filler, cat pillar, cause I'm a natural born killer. God damn. That's how we end in the first verse. That's just the first verse? You mean to tell me there's more after this? I might not make it to a second verse. Due to the high velocity I'm going to be applying to the rewind button after this one. But after much careful consideration, I wisely decided to listen to the rest of the song all the way through instead. And if that first verse wasn't enough, here comes my man O'Shea. Fully matching the energy of his homeboy's opening verse. He hits the booth, walking, stomping in his big black boots. And with that signature Ice Cube meme mug, he proceeds to absolutely rip shit. Terror illustrates my era. Now I can't hang around my mama cause I scare her. I want to blast motherfuckers, yeah, what's up? It feels like I'm busting a nut when I open you up. Cause your body is exposed to the midnight mist. All week, motherfuckers give my ring a kiss. cause I'm giving dirt naps. Coming with them bomb-ass raps to make your lungs collapse, perhaps. Now I've been ranting, raving, and fanboying out this whole time. And rightfully so. But in all seriousness, there was an undeniable energy and moment that had been slow cooking all the way up to this point. And both Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, without a shadow of a doubt, was making it a point to acknowledge, live up to, and follow through on that moment. Listen to the energy of Dre on that first verse. Take notice of how re-energized Cube was on the second verse. I never, ever, ever made a hoe stay, but I'm down with Dre like AC is down with OJ. So fuck how you're living. I'm the unforgiving, psycho-driven murderer. It's authentic. Don't panic. I can't stand it. God damn it. Schizophrenic. So fuck Charlie Manson. I snatch him out of truck, hit him with a brick, and I'm dancing. True indeed. Up to then, he was still dropping classic material with Lethal Injection, The Predator, and the Lynch Mob album. But we hadn't heard him come this precise and aggressive since his NWA, America's Most Wanted, Kill It Will, Death Certificate days. Those days that I just mentioned was Cube at the peak performance of his MCing and lyricism. Take a look back at the big budgeted and sharply directed video that was shot for Natural Born Killaz. The special effects and camera work were displayed with pinpoint precision. Shout out to the super dope F. Gary Gray, who served as the director for this video. It boasted a guest appearance from the legendary John Amos, and it even had a quick cameo appearance from Tupac Shakur, who, if you blink your eyes too fast, you would have missed at the very end, playing the sniper that assassinated Ice Cube's character in the video. Oh yeah, big budget, motion picture shit indeed. So when you lump all of these factors in together, you can clearly see and feel the sense of urgency to meet the high expectations of their reunion and the music that was promised to follow. As for the music, the chemistry that was on full display here, it left me and every other hip-hop head foaming at the mouth and ears for an official album release date. So now, after being thoroughly blessed with what was looked at as the unofficial first single for the Helter Skelter LP, Natural Born Killaz went on to go gold. And the dreams of waking up on a glorious Tuesday morning with that sure-to-be mega classic CD sitting on a shelf at a Sam Goodies and Camelot were about to be completely fulfilled, right? Wrong. As in capital, WRONG, wrong. Dead ass wrong. So as I'm wiping away the tears that emerged from just reading that last sentence, you're asking yourself, well, what the hell happened? Well, unfortunately, I'm about to painfully tell you what happened. Damn near a whole year had came and went since the release of Natural Born Killaz. Besides more promises of an album, nothing else even close to a snippet was heard afterwards. But knowing how Dr. Dre operates, as far as carefully taking his time with crafting material and being an OCD-ish perfectionist, you could have easily assumed that that's what was holding the record up. But just when we were being foolish and still holding no hope, the final nail in the coffin for that reality was ruthlessly hammered in on January 23rd, 1996, by a gentleman who went by the name of none other than the D.O.C. The songs and concepts that DOC had been in the process of writing for Dre for Helter Skelter. He packed them up, took them with him without Dre knowing a thing, and performed the same exact lyrics and concepts instead on his own album. The title of that album was, yep, you guessed correctly, Helter fucking Skelter. So why DOC? Why? Just for the life of God, please tell us, why did you do this? Why did you rob Dre, Cube, and more importantly, us, the fans, of this long-awaited, potentially earth-shattering masterpiece? Fortunately, there was an answer, an explanation, for exactly why he chose to go that extreme measure. A deep frustration had been building up over the last couple of years while creating and ghostwriting for Dr. Dre and Death Row, while in the same token, feeling like he was the one who was being robbed of fair compensation and his ability to display his own creativity. To quote the man himself, these are his exact words that he spoke in an interview in which he explained those frustrations that led to what he did. I wrote a song. Dre started working on the album. He wanted to work on the album with Cube, and it was supposed to be called Helter Skelter. And he gave me all of these books to read, apocalyptic books. He wanted me to get started for him, so I did. I wrote this one song, which I really liked, and I played it for him. He immediately wanted to take it. Those kinds of things just hurt. I got tired of putting all the work in, but not being able to benefit. Not being able to even get the love from it from the fans. These guys never told motherfuckers how hard I was working. When Doggy Style came out and they wanted to move on to, well, now we're going to start working on an album with Ice Cube. And I'm thinking, I'm putting in all this energy, this effort, but I can't see how I'm going to win. How is this going to feed a future family of mine? Wow. Now I know after listening to his reasoning, there's both agreements and disagreements you could take away from that. To put it all in proper perspective and wrap it up in a nutshell though, the real root of the issue stems from his obvious frustrations that boiled over from him feeling 100% stripped down from the artist he once was, and now relegated to just being some out of sight, out of mind ghostwriter who's lost all ability to benefit in any form from the dynasty he's had a major impact in creating. As I explained before in a previous show, DOC wasn't just some basic dude sitting around at the label, being happy and content with just being called on every once in a while to write a few bars for a few bucks. Nah, fuck that. He's an artist who, hadn't he lost his voice, would have been easily a top 10 lyricist of all time in the history of hip-hop. And now he's writing top 10 hits for a man and a label who's completely changing the face of the game. And once the smoke clears, nobody will know at all that he has anything to do with it, any of it whatsoever. You see, that's one of the toughest pills a man of his stature could have ever been forced to swallow. And whether we agreed or disagreed with how he sabotaged the Helter Skelter album, as a fan, we can stay pissed and dwell on the worthless what-ifs. But as a man, all you could do was fall back, strip away all selfishness, and understand that a human being, no matter how great he or she is, has to deal and fight with their demons in their own process. Now, in the aftermath of all this is that DOC, he felt bad about how shit went down. And later admitted that he regretted ever putting his version of Helter Skelter out. As far as Dre and Cube, after that happened, they continued to move on with business. They barely ever mentioned it again. And they both acted as if the beginnings, the idea, and the creation of that project never existed in the first place. Speaking of that recording process, they never got a chance to get deep into it. This one song I mentioned earlier was lent and given away to the All Eyes on Me album. Another in the form of a song titled Game Over. If that sounds familiar, well, of course it is. It featured Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Too Short, and it appeared on Scarface's album, The Untouchable. There's one other song that uses Roy Ayers' super classic, Everybody Loves the Sunshine, where Dre had the main loop replayed with some nasty-ass synth keys and titled it My Life. In parentheses, smoking weed for hours. Yeah, you see where he was going there. This one was meant to be a solo Dre joint on Helter Skelter, where it had a back-in-the-day reminiscent vibe to it. In the lyrics, he's recalling the very beginning of his career, when he was DJing at the Eve After Dark Club. Later, how he met Cube, the rest of the crew, and formed NWA. And he also speaks in this song about how DOC talked him into creating Death Row Records. He had a particular bar in there I always liked, and it went like this. Ice Cube was performing, yeah, he ain't no joke. Him and a bunch of Brooklyn niggas serving nothing but dope. And we all stayed down. We all kept winning. Studios and hoes was just the beginning. In the sunshine. Now, that was a dope-ass song. And when I heard that line, it always let me know what kind of project Helter Skelter would have been. It would have been one of greatness, one of reflection, one of dope-ass chemistry. And to loosely quote Dre, when he was asked towards the beginning of the album becoming the idea, would it be based on Charles Manson, the man who made the term Helter Skelter famous in the first place, because of course that was the title of his infamous book. Dr. Dre replied, I know that people are going to think it relates to Charles Manson and all of that, but Helter Skelter means that things happen for no apparent rhyme or reason. This is going to be a funky album, a fat album. So yes, like I was previously saying a few seconds ago, it was going to be an album of unexpectancy. We all know, though, that in the grand scheme of things, that unexpectancy went from being undeniable, undone, unsure, to ultimately unnoticed at all. Later down the line, we had heard glimpses and hints at what could have been in the form of two NWA reunion joints titled Chin Check and Hello. Although those were dope in their own right, they just didn't hit as nearly the same as the original blockbuster 5 mic reunion album that the world has remained forever cheated out of. And that is Andre Young and O'Shea Jackson's Helter Skelter.